I didn't want to go to the party. The funeral flowers were still wilting in vases around my living room. Our house felt too large without him. $800,000 of polished floors and high ceilings and silence. I moved through it carefully, like noise itself might shatter something fragile. But my sister insisted. It's his first birthday, she said. It'll be good for you to get out. Good for me. Grief makes you agreeable. It sends down your instincts. So I went. Her backyard was strung with pastel balloons and rented tables. Children shrieked near a bounce house. A banner with my nephew's name stretched across the fence. The world had already resumed its normal volume, and I felt like I was moving at half speed inside it. People hugged me with that soft, tilted head sympathy reserved for widows. They asked how I was doing in voices that suggested they didn't really want the answer. My sister looked radiant, controlled. She kissed my cheek and squeezed my hand just a second too long. "Thank you for coming," she said. The cake was cut. Photos were taken. My nephew smashed frosting into his own hair while everyone laughed. Then she tapped her glass. It wasn't loud, but it was intentional. "I actually have something important to share," she said, smiling in a way that didn't reach her eyes. The conversations faded. Even the children seemed to pause. She placed a folder on the patio table. "My son," she continued, resting a manicured hand on the baby's shoulder, "is your husband's child." There it was. Clean. Public. A ripple moved through the guests. A few gasps. Someone muttered, "Oh my God." She didn't look at me immediately. She let the statement breathe first. Let it land. Then she turned. "So as inheritance," she added calmly, "I'll be taking half of your house. Half of your $800,000 house." She slid papers from the folder and held them up slightly. "He left a will." I remember thinking how carefully she'd staged it. Not at the funeral, not privately. Here at a first birthday party, maximum witnesses, maximum humiliation. Every face turned toward me, waiting for a breakdown, for denial, for tears. Instead, something unexpected happened inside my chest. Stillness, not shock, not rage, just a strange, steady clarity. Because my husband and I had spent the last year of his life in and out of oncology offices, because I had sat in sterile rooms where doctors explained treatments that would save him or end his ability to ever father a child again. Because 8 months before he died, he made a choice, a documented one. I looked at the papers in her hand. "Oh," I said softly, "I see." And I tried very hard not to laugh. Not because it was funny, but because the confidence in her voice rested on something impossible. She mistook my composure for weakness. "I didn't want to do this publicly," she continued, which was almost impressive. "But I can't deny my son his rights." Rights. The word floated there like something noble. I didn't argue. I didn't ask questions. I didn't mention hospital forms, or storage consent documents, or the consultation where we had both signed papers acknowledging permanent infertility as a consequence of treatment. I didn't mention the date that made her story biologically impossible. I just nodded once. "Of course," I said. The party resumed in fragments. Conversations restarted. But softer now. Curious glances followed me as I left early, carrying a small plastic favor bag filled with candy I wouldn't eat. That night, I called my husband's attorney. Not in tears, not hysterical, measured. "I need certified copies of the will," I said, "and I need to schedule a meeting." 2 days later, I sat in a conference room across from a man who had known my husband for 15 years. He slid the original will across the table dated 3 months before my husband died. Witnessed, notarized. There was no mention of additional children. I also requested copies of medical documentation, dates of procedures, signed consent forms, clinical notes. Paper is unemotional. It doesn't care about birthday parties. A week later, my sister received formal notice requesting DNA verification and challenging the authenticity of the document she presented. The language was polite, procedural, precise. She called me immediately. "How dare you?" she demanded. "You're trying to embarrass me." I almost admired the reframing. "I'm just asking for verification," I said evenly, "since this is about inheritance." There was a hearing scheduled to review the will she'd produced. She arrived dressed carefully, confident again, though thinner around the edges. Her printed document was examined. The signature didn't match perfectly. Close, but not enough. The notary listed had no record of the appointment, dates conflicted with documented hospital admissions. Then the medical documentation was introduced. The room changed, not dramatically, not theatrically, just a shift, like air leaving a balloon. The procedure date was read aloud, 8 months before her son was born. The doctor's statement was clear. Conception after that point was not medically viable. There was no shouting, no public scolding, just a quiet dismantling. Authority doesn't need volume when facts are solid. My sister didn't look at me. The petition was dismissed pending further investigation into document fraud. DNA testing was deemed unnecessary given the medical evidence timeline. Outside the building, reporters weren't waiting, family members weren't gathered. It wasn't cinematic, it was administrative. The house remained mine. But when I drove home, I didn't feel victorious. I felt something heavier. Grief had already hollowed me out. This carved deeper. Not because she failed, but because she tried. The humiliation she staged at that party wasn't about money. It was about testing whether I was too broken to defend myself. I walked into the house and stood in the foyer, the same place we once argued about paint colors, the same place mourners stood offering condolences. It felt different now. Not louder, not happier, just steadier. I didn't win anything. I simply refused to surrender what was mine to someone who mistook silence for surrender. And in the quiet that followed, I understood something uncomfortable. Grief had made me softer, but it had not made me powerless.